And a warm welcome along to today's United Kingdom talk. And I'm ill today, boys and girls. Oh dear, I have got the worst back pain. I'm not quite sure. I've got an idea what happened, and I shall tell you. Yesterday, not only that, but the cough is still here. Like that. I think it's a mixture between something that I don't quite know about and a touch of asthma. Although I'm not hard of breathing, you know, not really hard of breathing. So there's something there, and it's not stopping me doing anything. It's just there, and a bit of phlegm coming up, you know. Oh dear. But worse than that is the back. I woke up this morning. And I thought, oh, back don't feel quite right. And then I got out of bed and I walked around. And it wasn't too bad, to be honest. But when I sat in the settee downstairs, it was much worse. And I think I know what happened. Yesterday, I went to visit my friend Jason. You know, the one who recently had the hip replacement? He's only 34. Excuse me. And he had a hip replacement, must be about 5 weeks ago. So I try and go down there once a week, although I did go last week, and see how he's doing. And he's actually doing very, very well indeed. Right. And a wonderful day yesterday, really. I got down there around about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and he wanted to go out to a Carvery for some lunch, which I quite like the idea of that, you know. I don't think... I've rarely been to a Carvery, only about 5 times in my entire life. So we jumped in the car. Well, I jumped in the car, and he kind of eased himself. If anyone who's had a hip replacement operation, or anything wrong with their legs, or anything like that, will know what I mean when I say he eased himself into the car. It really is a bit of a job and a half. Anyway, he got in there, because you see, the thing is, when you've had a hip replacement, your knees are not supposed to be higher than your hips at any time. I don't know if that's for always, but certainly at the moment he's not allowed to have his knees higher than his hips. So, you know, he couldn't sit in any old chair, but he managed to get in my car and he sat down. And Jason is, when it comes to tidiness, is a bit like my friend Ron, and also Wayne, Posh Wayne. He's a bit like them two. You know, everything is quite tidy. Nothing at all like my house. And he got in the car and he looked around and he says, "Is your house like this?" What a cheek, dear. What does he mean, is your house like this? There was a few bits of paper on the floor, I know. You know, and perhaps a couple of cables and maybe a CD on the floor. The reason they're on the floor is because there's no more room on the shelves in the car. Which is like full of, not extra bulbs, was I going to say? Yeah, emergency bulbs. And other little bits and pieces that I like to carry in the car. A mat book, you know, all sorts of bits. And he says, "Is your house like this?" And looked at me in a disgusted way. It's not necessary, is it? Huh? It's not like Crispback. Don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those... It's not like a student house here. Have you been to student house where there are boxes and cartons of half-eaten fast food? There's none of that in the car. There's no sandwich wrappers or crisp packets. It's just a bit messy. It's not dirty, it's messy. Of course, he had to pass comment, didn't he? I had a good mind. I tell you what, I had a good mind to do an emergency braking stop and see how that affected his hip. Anyway, so we got in the car, and he's in Brighton, and we went down to the seafront, turned left, take us to a place in Saltdean. Now, I wish I could remember the name of the pub. It could have been called the Saltdean Tavern. I'm not sure. But it's just before this Lido swimming pool complex. You kind of turn left, and it's a massive pub. And I thought, oh, it's much bigger than I thought. You know, I thought it was going to just take us to a little country pub or something like that. Massive place. Anyway, as it happens, you know, for the end of October, it was a beautiful, bright, sunny day. Little bit chilly, but if you had you didn't need a coat on. If you had a sweatshirt on or something like that, that would have been enough. So we went in there, massive place, very, very clean. 2 bar staff in there, very, very pleasant. We looked around, quite a few elderly people in there, a few people that look like they're, you know, just at work or something like that. So Jason was buying it this time because I bought the last 2 dinners that we had. So we sat there and he said, I'll have 2 Carveries, please. And she said, do you want any drinks? I said, well, I'll have a Coke. And we both had a Coke each. And do you know how much that came to? You will die when I tell you this, right? 2 Carveries. OK, forget the drinks. How much do you think the Carveries were? Do you know what a Carvery is? Oh, I don't know what you call it wherever you are. Well, a Carvery is where you go in like a restaurant or pub type thing, and they have a selection of meats. In this case, there were 3 types of meat. They had beef, ham and turkey. And you get some meat, right? You get one lot of meat of whatever you want. And then you help yourself to all the vegetables and the gravy and all the rest of it. And you can keep going back up for more if you want, but only more of the vegetables. You only get one lot of meat. So how much do you think that cost? Well, let me tell you what I had first. So he paid the man behind the bar. So we went up and the chap says, what would you like? I said, can I have a slice of each, please? Yep, no problem. So I had a slice of beef. We both had exactly the same, actually. We had a slice of beef, a slice of turkey, and a slice of ham. He actually gave us 2 slices of beef. And Yorkshire pudding and stuffing. And I had potatoes, peas, carrots, and onion gravy, which I love onion gravy, and roast potatoes. OK? He had exactly the same. I carried both the plates over because he's on these crutches at the moment. And we sat there and ate that. And I went back for more potatoes and carrots and onion gravy. Right, so I had all that. He had the same. How much do you think that cost each? Are you sitting down comfortably? £3.50. What a bargain. How do they do it for that? This wasn't rubbish food. This was all cooked. It was beautiful. Now, as I say, I think the name of the pub is called the Saltdean Tavern, and it's in Saltdean, which is just down the road for Brighton. If you're ever in the Brighton area, you have got to go there and have that, because that is, excuse me, that is unbelievable value for money. £3.50. Of course, if you start having drinks, then it does start adding up. And all I had was a Coke. Now, the Coke was £1.50. So actually, it was altogether, it was a £5. But that's all right. I mean, I would have been happy to pay £10 for that. I've got to be honest. You know, I like value for money. If that had been £10, that would still have been damn good value for money. And to think, it wasn't particularly busy in there, right? To think that people queue up in fast food restaurants for a burger and chips, which would have cost them £4 or £5 anyway, and they sit there and eat that, shovel it down in 5 minutes, and then half hour later, you know exactly what I mean, don't you? I don't understand why the pub wasn't packed. £3.50 for what I would consider a Sunday dinner. It really was that good. No complaints whatsoever. Only once did someone come up and said to us, is everything okay, boys? And we said, yeah, thank you very much. And they didn't come back again, which I like. Because they can overdo that as well sometimes, can't they, waiters? I know they're only trying to do their job, but sometimes you want to be left alone to eat the blooming meal. So, there we are. I mean, what a bargain. And my guess is that there are a lot of pubs that do Carveries and that sort of thing, not just on a Sunday, but during the week. So certainly, if you're in the UK, check out your local pub. Don't go down to, I mean, especially on a Sunday. And I've mentioned this before. I think it's so sad, because we have there's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with Kentucky Fried Chicken or McDonald's or Burger King. But on a Sunday afternoon, come on. People are taking their families out through a drive-through Kentucky Fried Chicken in Bracknell. I mean, come on. Is that a Sunday afternoon? You could be taking your family out to one of these many pubs all over the place and having a really good value meal. And I'll tell you what, we had that meal about 3 o'clock. Right? And then after that meal, Jason wanted to do some shopping in ASDA. Remember, he can't get around very much at the moment. So whenever someone goes to see him, he likes to try and get a bit of shopping in as well. So we went to ASDA. Now you'll love this. You'll love this. And it is my mate, Jason, 34. Okay, recent hip replacement operation. So he gets into ASDA, and he says, do you think they'll be able to give us one of those electric scooter things while we're in there? I said, well, that's a good idea. So we looked at these electric scooters. We went up. This is ASDA again. ASDA is in Brighton, the Brighton branch, in Brighton Marina, which is really posh. Oh, my word. Beautiful flats there, all, like, literally built within the sea. And it's got a wall up. I don't know what it's like in rough weather. I'd be a bit scared to live there in the rough weather, I must say. Because doesn't salt water rots everything, doesn't it? I don't know. Anyway, so we went down to the ASDA, got out of the car, with a bit of difficulty, I have to say, but he manages all right. He does the best. He doesn't complain, you know, Jason. He doesn't complain at all. He just gets on with it. And that's it. Got out of the car, so we saw the scooters. I said, oh, is that what you want? He said, yeah. He said, it'd be a hell of a lot easier, because he does have a bit of trouble getting around. I mean, he can get around, but not for, like, long distances. I mean, you wouldn't be able to take him for a mile's walk, okay? So we went up to the security guy, bald bloke. He had 2 earrings in. You know, they always have a security guy on the checkout, on the door in ASDA, don't they? And I says, sorry to trouble you, can we borrow one of the electric scooters for my friend here who's on crutches? And he looked at us and he said, is he registered disabled? I said, no. I said, he's not, but he's just had a recent hip replacement operation. And so he looked at me and said, yeah, I'll let you have one of those, mate. And he took us over and showed us how it worked. What a helpful man. What a really nice man. And I said to Jason, you must write a letter about him. He was so nice. All right? So, I mean, keep an eye out. If anyone is in Brighton who listens or watches the show, go down to the Brighton ASDA in the marina and go to the security guy and said, I hear that you're really helpful. Okay? He's a bald bloke. 2 earrings. I wish I'd found out his name now, because I would have written a letter to myself. So he couldn't have been more helpful. So I said, oh, shall we put the crutches in the basket? He said, that's all right, mate. I'll take those and look those after for you. Just come and collect them on the way out. What a nice man. So Jason, he's never been in one of these motorised scooter things. You know the sort of thing that elderly people and disabled people have when they're going around town. It's one of those. So he wasn't very good at turning at first. Oh, he kept crashing into shelves. Oh dear. But a great way to get around. And the basket on the front of the motorised scooter was much big enough to be able to put everything in there. So fantastic, really. Fantastic. Unfortunately, while we were in there, we had to go, unfortunately, past the cream cakes counter. And even though we had a very large dinner, which necessitated me having to go to the toilet half the way through the shopping, I had to rush upstairs. Oh, I need to go to the toilet. Yeah. Oh, it was a massive dinner. £3.50. And I keep going on about it, dear. I like to pass on a bargain. You know that. If I find a bargain, I will always pass it on to you. Huh? So we're doing the shopping, and we bought a rather large Banoffe pie. It's one of my favourite cakes, that is, to be honest, Banoffe pie. Very, very tasty indeed. So we put that in the basket together with everything else. And, of course, when I come back from the toilet, I couldn't find him anywhere. I had to ring him on the mobile phone. Where are you, Jason? I'm at the cream cakes down the end, dear, he said. So eventually we got to the checkout, paid for the items. Very helpful lady on there. Again, ASDA is one of my favourite if not is my favourite supermarket. Really, very, very friendly. Really, very, very friendly. Unlike Aldi, where they don't seem to have time to talk to you in there. But I have news of Aldi in a minute. It's coming up. Don't worry. So far, all I've given Aldi in Bracknell is bad press. I have good press about Aldi today. Oh, yes. If we got time, that is. So that was that. So we paid for the goods, come out again. As soon as we appeared, the bloke left his little security station and said, I'll just go and get your sticks for you. And he came back with his sticks. Oh, I mean, I haven't got enough praise for that supermarket. I really haven't. Aldi, ASDA. Fantastic. Really looked after us. OK, so that was that. We loaded up the car. Drove along the seafront. It's a lovely drive along that Brighton seafront, I have to say. Drove along there, and oh, that's what I was going to say. Where ASDA is, the car park, the marina is like down, and then next to it is like a massive wall, almost like a mountain. You know, where the land is, and it seems to be held together. I don't know how it's all held up. Must be some sort of concrete holding it all up. And Jason was telling me it did collapse once, apparently, and all this land came down, which must have been scary. Apparently ASDA had to close and everything. It's a while ago now. I said, well, how do they keep it up? He said they seem to put metal rods in it and concrete, and it's like built up like a big hill. But what doesn't... I can't even explain. It's like a very, very large concrete wall that kind of slopes inwards. I mean, I wouldn't like to live under there. You know, I mean, you know what Earth's like when it gets wet, don't you? So we got back in the car, drove back to his house, unloaded, we had a cup of tea, and then it was a sort of... I always sleep in the afternoon, so I thought I'd better have a little bit of a sleep on his settee. And I kind of... This is where we're coming to the back thing now. I kind of sort of slouched in his settee and put my feet up on a cushion on this like little table that he's got. He doesn't mind me doing that. I bet he does actually, but he doesn't actually say anything. You know, I do look a bit of a slob when I'm just sitting there like that. So I'm sorry about the coughing. So I woke up about an hour and a half later after snoozing there, feeling rather refreshed, because I always have a couple of hours in the afternoon, as you know, and I didn't think anything more of it. So then we both had a piece of Banoffe pie, and that was it really. And I left the house around about 9 o'clock and got back here. Did a few bits and pieces around the house. I didn't really notice anything was wrong or anything, so I went to bed, and that was it. Well, when I got up in the morning, and I did have a good sleep last night, 7 hours later, I thought, oh, my back feels a bit funny. So I got up out of bed, started walking around, but when I sat on the settee downstairs, I got a really annoying pain in my back. Now, it's just at the bottom of my spine, and then go right a bit and up a little bit. And there is... hang on, let me just feel. Yeah, it's like a... Let me have a little feel. It's like a soft bit, right? And that's where the pain is. It didn't half hurt. And I'm actually sitting here on my settee in the Britannia studio at the moment. It's not too bad here if I don't slouch. OK, if I sit upright, I can barely feel it. If I slouch down, then it starts hurting. And I was talking to Jason this morning on the phone, and he reckons it's because of the way I was sitting yesterday on his settee, or the way I went to sleep, so quite possibly. The only thing is, I've got karaoke tonight down at the Blueberries. I'm doing karaoke at Blueberries in London Bridge, which does involve a little bit of lifting and putting books out and bending. It's not so much the lifting, it's the bending over. You know, bending over all the time. I do a lot of bending over. No, stop it now! Stop it! Stop it! It's the bending over that's going to do me in tonight. So I'm hoping that if I get another couple of hours sleep this afternoon and lay flat in the bed, if I sleep on my back, then hopefully I'll be all right for tonight. So, not too clever that, was it, eh? So that was my day yesterday, and a wonderful time. Absolutely wonderful time. So see if you can find that. It's a very large pub in Saltdean in Brighton, possibly called the Saltdean Tavern, and you'll get a Carvery in there, a proper cooked meal with vegetables and everything else for £3.50, and you cannot go wrong. Please don't go to these fast food restaurants when you've got something like that possibly on your doorstep. Check out your local pub. Pub food is generally really good, except some of the chains, of which I have worked for in the past, not as a cook or anything else, where it's all frozen. You know, a lot of these chains, all the meals come in frozen and they sell it to you as home cooked. I mean, it doesn't take a scientist or a university graduate to be able to tell whether it has actually come out of a freezer or has been cooked from scratch. And I tell you what, that food yesterday had been cooked from scratch. All right? Excuse me. My email address, if you want to join in at any time, especially if you've got a local pub near you, wherever you are in the world, and you've been impressed by the quality of the food or a restaurant, and indeed the price, we like value for money here on United Kingdom Talk, then why don't you email us in and let us know. My email address is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Apologies, those of you that watch the show via YouTube. I think it was last week, they were having a bit of trouble at YouTube and the quality of the picture dropped significantly. It was almost like watching it through a fog. I think they've sorted that out now, so sorry about that last week, okay? Now, I said to you a little bit of good news about Aldi, okay? I popped in there the other day because it is the nearest supermarket to me, but I wouldn't be doing all my shopping in there. I find it very unfriendly in there and cold, no atmosphere. I know it's only a supermarket, right? And I know you're only in there to do your shopping, but Christ, we like a bit of atmosphere, whatever we do, innit? So, went in there the other day, and I know that they always have special offer on fruit and veg, special offers. Well, here's the good news. 29 pence, right? One bag of new potatoes, 29 pence, 3 onions, 29 pence, a whole bag of carrots, right? 49 pence, 6 tomatoes, 27 pence, a bag of bananas. Okay? So you almost got all that for about £1. So if you do go to Aldi, make your way straight to the fruit and veg section and you will see some bargains there. All those were much, much cheaper than the Sainsbury's up the road or even ASDA where I went to yesterday. Really cheap. Oh, and the other thing that seemed to be on special over there, they had boxes of strawberries there, £1.49, and I've noticed the strawberries certainly in Sainsbury's up the road have now gone up to £3. And I won't pay £3 for a punnet of strawberries. The blueberries have gone up to £4 for a punnet. And only a couple of weeks ago they were doing 2 punnets for £3. Okay, and I will not pay £4 for a little plastic box of blueberries. But there you go, some good Aldi news, because I like to try and be fair, you know. I only share my experiences with you. That's all I do. I'm not here to slag anyone off because I don't like them. Well, perhaps a few people. Perhaps the occasional person, but certainly not Superman. I wouldn't sit here and slag something off just because I didn't like it. I share experiences with, and my experiences in Aldi are: it's as cold as ice, no atmosphere, staff not particularly chatty. However, very, very good value on the fruit and veg. Check it out, okay, in Aldi. Here I am to save you money, boys and girls, because we like a bargain. If you ever think of any bargains at all, let me know. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. I could do one of those consumer programmes, couldn't I? We can invite people in to interview them. Do you know who I'd like to interview? I don't know, did I write down his name? Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'd love to have on the show Michael O'Leary from Ryanair. He has got the cheek of 1,000 monkeys. He really has. Have you ever seen him being interviewed? Michael O'Leary on Ryanair. He is fantastic. He really is. He is such a huge personality. And when he's talking, you can't get a word in edgeways. And he was on this Panorama programme on BBC One this week, or last week it was, actually. Last week it was on Panorama on BBC One. And this poor bloke doing an interview was trying to ask him questions. He weren't having none of it, mate. All he kept saying was, you fly Ryanair. You fly Ryanair. And he said, what about all these people who don't like it? Well, don't fly. If you don't want to fly with us, don't fly with us. If you do, then please come aboard. We offer the cheapest flights and all this business. And he's just fantastic. Michael O'Leary, Ryanair. I don't like the airline. I wouldn't fly on Ryanair. I don't care how cheap your prices are. But I like Michael O'Leary. And I'd be interested to know how many people fly on Ryanair because of Michael O'Leary. He don't care. He just doesn't care about what you've got to say. He's just there to put his point across, and he is the funniest. The funniest. I don't know what his position is. Manager, director. What is his position? He is the funniest man in charge of a large company that I have ever come across in my life. I'd love to meet him, Michael O'Leary from Ryanair. If you know him, and you could get him to appear on United Kingdom Talk, and don't worry, we wouldn't do any of those hard-hitting interviews or anything like that. We'd just get him on here to have a chat, Michael O'Leary from Ryanair. Please put him in contact with the programme. He's fantastic. Of course, he's Irish. My nan was Irish. She was from Cork. I've never actually been to Ireland. Perhaps I should go Ryanair to Dublin. What do you reckon? Hey? Let us know what you think. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. We've got a birthday today. It is Jade's birthday. Now, where is it? Oh, no, that should be written down somewhere here. Ooh. See, I don't even need to write it down. There we are. Jade's birthday. Well, this is the closest show to the date of Jade's birthday. 21st of October. And Jade is 14. If you don't know who Jade is, she is Suko's daughter. Okay? Suko is a regular correspondent to the show who's been moaning recently, boys and girls. If you've been watching the last few shows, she has actually been moaning. Moan, 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 moan. I think she's come out of it now. Okay, so we need to sing Happy Birthday to Jade. After 3. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jade. Happy birthday to you. 14-year-old little girl who probably looked at or listened to me singing that and absolutely cringed. Didn't you, Jade? Because you're now at the age where you don't want to know, you don't want to be known with us older people, do you? Us older people with coughs and bad back. Oh, actually, the cough stopped. Have you noticed that? I think it's first thing in the morning, all that gunk has to come out, doesn't it? How awful. Happy birthday, Jade. All right? Hope you had a lovely time, my darling. Or have a lovely time, rather. Just quickly then, just time for one more email today, and this is just one email today from the said Suko, who writes, I know I don't get the attraction of Facebook and Twitter. I have accounts with both of them, but I rarely even look at them, only when someone invites me to be a friend. I'll accept and write a quick comment, and that's it. No time for such frivolities. I do a chat on Snow Patrol's forum. She's a friend of Snow Patrol, the very famous band. I'm really obsessed with them. And you indeed sent us photos, didn't you? But even that I do infrequently. I have made a few friends from that forum. And we keep in touch via email sharing our experiences with the band. A couple of them listen to me on matineeshow.co.uk. One from Northern Ireland and one from Colombia. Hope you're feeling better. Drink lots of fluids. Take 2 aspirins and call me in the morning. Thank you, Suko. Yeah, I use Facebook basically to advertise everything I do, Suko, as you know. Those of you who are my Facebook friends will have noticed all the status updates. I'm sure you get annoyed. My Facebook is Chris Reardon UK. And also my Twitter as well, although I hardly ever go on Twitter. Twitter and Facebook, my names on there are Chris Reardon UK. Time for me to go. Thanks for the show today. For joining me for the show today, rather. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk is my email address. See you on the next one. Bye-bye now.